What is up, RotoGrinders? Happy Friday. 2 hours of nonstop NBA DFS conversation starts right now. 7-game slate, 7-game main slate in the association. Of course, they left off the last several games for savings and to get away from some goofiness for some potential late swap stuff, because as you guys know, not a FanDuel thing. FanDuel is keeping their late swap, so there are choices tonight. But tonight, DK is locking the slate. You got to have your lineups good to go by 7 o'clock at 7:01. If you want to spend some time with the family, if you want to go to a movie, whatever you want to do, by all means, you are free to do whatever you'd like. I'm well prepared, TJ. I got my trusty Magic 8-ball. I got Mr. Predicto is here with me. Let's see, we got the Gray Sports Almanac. It only goes to the year 2000, so I don't know how trusty this is. Consider that when the source. But I'm good to go. I'm ready as far as tonight's 7-gamer. It is a wild one because if you're running some optimals, it is hilarious because you're getting 5, maybe 6 guys, 4 or 5, 6, depending on, in this absolutely ridiculous Memphis Portland game. Allegedly, they'll be playing basketball. Man, it's going to be a fun, funky slate. I'm sure nobody's going to complain about it. I'm sure nobody's going to get late scratched. What's up, TJ? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Doing well. Nice to see you. I don't know if you noticed, but I subbed myself off of Crunch Time today so I could hang out with you on GrindersLive. I subbed Will up to Crunch Time and I took over GrindersLive today so we could hang out.
No, there's an ulterior motive. You have plans.
There's an ulterior motive.
Yeah, come on.
I have, you brought up going to a movie tonight. I am going to Dune Part 2 shortly after Lock. And so as much as I'm still torn on the whole late swap, no late swap thing, like I don't really feel like I have that strong of an opinion either way. It's a bit of a different game and I'll just adapt regardless. But having said that, for tonight specifically, I probably wouldn't have played if it wasn't for the no late swap Friday. So they got that 100K to first, $4 contest, no late swap, so I don't have to worry about it when I'm in the movie. And I'm still going to run 150 lineups tonight. The one interesting thing that I found pretty funny about this is they were like, Friday, no late swap, yeah. But then they didn't even include the late games. And
you knew they wouldn't, though. Come on, you knew.
But what's the point of no late swap?
No
you know what I mean? Like, it's an extra hour. It's not like you're there all night. Like, the games are all between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. So no late swap. Who cares?
Well, that's why they picked the slate, TJ. You know that. Like, that's why they picked it. You feel like it's a little bit misleading because did you want them to include?
It's borderline the same as any other slate.
Yes. Yeah. Sure. Something goofy can certainly happen between the hours of 7 and 8 o'clock. Especially when Portland and Memphis are involved, 2 teams that are pretty heavy in the tankathon standings, 2 teams that are complete and utter disasters. There are some questionable pieces on the Memphis side officially too, some that are doubtful, but I assume those doubtfuls are out, and we'll talk about it. Do you think the most important stuff, I think, is like currently Luka is officially questionable. I assume he's going to play. Not only does he have that nose he's been playing with, but he's got an ankle now. But, monster game here. I shouldn't say monster game, but just a big game versus Boston. I think this is the national TV ESPN game. It has to be, right? This has to be the front half of the ESPN doubleheader. I just assume he goes. De'Aaron Fox is questionable. And again, this stuff we probably should have because there's not a ton of time from lock, to beyond. Donovan Mitchell's got that knee. We'll see if he tweets out to let us know if he's playing tonight. DeAndre Ayton officially doubtful, but I can't imagine he plays. I think we're projecting him out. Basically, when somebody's doubtful, they're going to be projected out. We already got the news on Podziemski for Golden State. I don't know if you saw, but they got in super, super late. I guess super early, depending on your perspective, in Toronto last night or in the morning. I think they landed like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning because they had plane issues. So, as far as we know, that's all that's going on there at Golden State, but just sort of worth acknowledging, I suppose. Feels like that's been I don't want to say an epidemic, but I feel like that's been happening several times of late, right? Small sample size with plane issues and teams being cautious, which makes sense, sure, but of course also sets up it throws off the routine going forward. But we're assuming we're going to get the news on Mitchell. We're assuming we're going to get the news on Luka and Fox and Edwards as well, who just no matter how bad his injury looks, he always finds a way to come back to play. He's crazy resilient. I guess it's part of being young as well too. But it always seems like, well, this guy's not coming back, and he's like limping off the court, and like 3 minutes later, there he is, and he's crushing too, not just standing in the corner. But yeah, that's a big part of the slate. Just sort of these injuries that I think they're all going to play, but we'll see. As far as Luka, Mitchell, Fox, Edwards, I think they all play. Is that kind of where you're at as well? I guess we'll know this at some point soon enough.
Luka, Fox, and Edwards, I'm all leaning towards playing. Donovan Mitchell is the one that I have a little bit more pause on, especially because they got LeVert. They're questionable too, and they're facing Detroit. So it's like that's one that could really. I don't have a lean on which way it's going to go, and if it does go the way of Mitchell and LeVert being out, like we're gonna get some crazy value on Cleveland because it's Detroit. So the Garlands is gonna look great, but then even like Okoro, maybe even Sam Merrill, Craig Porter, and so they're gonna be a team to keep our eyes on for sure. Specifically because not only are they facing they have guys questionable, but it's Detroit. It's an amazing matchup. The only thing you're worried about with Detroit is blowing them out, and without Donovan Mitchell, maybe you're not.
By the way, back-to-back stuff, front half, back-to-back, the back half of back-to-back, the front half stuff. Funny enough, to add even more nonsense to Blazers and Memphis, they're both on the front end of a back-to-back. The Hornets are on the back half, and the Golden State, we kind of mentioned Golden State already, back half of a back-to-back, travel issues as well. As far as I know, it's just Podziemski being ruled out. Of course, Wiggins still out for them as well. We are projecting Moody to continue to start there for Golden State. And just wanted to confirm that is Dallas Boston. That's got to be the front half of the ESPN doubleheader. That's gives a few extra seconds for Luka if he plays to rest during a couple extra commercials. Maybe we get like 42, 43 minutes out of him, just barring a blowout because, that's just they just run him into the ground that they don't care. And the back half of the back-to-back is probably somebody that's it's not even on the slate, right? Let's see. Yeah, Milwaukee at Chicago. Yeah, they did some time manipulation there with the local time. 9:00 is the game there for the Bulls to get on the back half of the ESPN doubleheader. And, of course, Dallas-Boston. That is the first game. Do want to say what's up to the chat? Kindly hit that like button and subscribe. Enter on those notifications. Do all those things that helps us keep the show moving. We are, once again, doing a giveaway. You want to get yourself RotoGrinders Premium. You want to get yourself a week free of RG Premium. How do you go about doing that? Well, you go to the live stream chat channel in the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Go to the live stream chat channel and just, thumb up the avatar there. Producer Steve, under Producer Steve's notes, and then he'll throw your name on the wheel. We're going to spin the wheel at around 6 o'clock or so. Going forward, it's not just going to be wheel-related stuff, but we will be having giveaways every day. That is the plan. I shouldn't essentially every day. I should add essentially just in case we miss it once or twice, but that is the plan going forward. Also, if you want to get a RG Premium, if you don't want to put your name on a wheel for whatever reason, $10 off your first month. If you want RG Premium combo, we'll go ahead and drop that promo in chat, or it's in the description as well. What else should we say here before we kind of fully dive in on this 7-gamer? I got my eyes on Twitter. Getting news, Cam Thomas not playing tomorrow. We don't care about that, TJ. We care about today and today only in DFS. Ben Simmons officially questionable. Highly questionable, I would say, with his leg. Again, that's tomorrow. Who cares? Yeah, what else do you want to say big picture-wise? It's going to be a lot of Memphis, Portland nonsense, right? It's kind of hard to avoid.
It's so wild how the top game on the slate, quote-unquote, is a game with a 108 total. Like, that's just nuts. Or 208 total, sorry. Both of these teams sub 110 totals, sub 105 totals. So, yeah, maybe there is a way that in tournaments we can get away from some of this a little bit and get underweight and just kind of hope this game ends, 98-94, something like that. And then maybe nothing ends up being optimal. But there's just, with all the guys out on both of these teams, it does make it pretty damn tough to avoid.
Yeah, it's how sometimes totals can lie, right? Because context matters. Yeah, even if the game is like 100-90, there's probably going to be somebody. And the other tricky part is a lot of guys are going to play like 26 minutes, and there's probably not going to be a lot of guys that play 34, 35 because there's still like a fair bit of bodies, right? It's not like Memphis is going in there with like 7 dudes. I mean, they have 10 active, and Portland's got like, I don't know, 12 or 13. Like you can't name half of them. Justin Manaya allegedly is a person that's going to be wearing a Portland jersey this evening. Ryan Rupert. Yeah, there are some names. There are some names in this Portland-Memphis game that is pretty wild. But they're also so cheap, right? They're also cheap that like they only have to do so much to kind of get there. Are you putting any rules? I don't want to completely get ahead of stuff. Are you putting any rules in as far as Portland and Memphis?
TBD. To be determined. I haven't gotten that far yet. If I'm being totally honest with you, I'm still kind of waiting to see if we get some of this injury news funneling in. If there all of a sudden is a lot more value that pops up and I can go elsewhere, then maybe my rules will be a little stronger. But as it stands right now, I'll probably do like a max three of these guys per team, maybe max 4 on Memphis, 2 on Portland, something like that. But we'll see.
So I ran 81 optimal lineups on DraftKings. I capped it at 73%. No player gets into more than 73% of my lineups, right? This is the first, TJ, the first 7 players, percentage-wise, are either Grizzlies or Blazers. Now, it's pretty condensed and it's close. And like there's some guys that are knocking in the door. And by the way, I should say the first 7 are Grizzlies or Blazers. The first 9 of 10, that's another way of phrasing it, are Grizzlies or Blazers, which is just hilarious. But and the one that's really hitting the cap hard is Jordan Goodwin. Williams at 53%. Goodwin hits the cap at 73%. Trey Jameson at 41%. Aldama at 38%. So all four Grizz right out the gate. And then Jeremy Grant, the number 1 most popular guy in Portland at 26%. Duop Reith, we're assuming he's going to draw the start there for Portland. Simons, you got to pay for him. He's not been great of late, but theoretically the path is clear for him to absolutely smash tonight. Then there's Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum hitting some lineups. Then there's Gigi Jackson. Then there's Zaire Williams. It's just wild. And like you said, there's some stuff that might change, as more information comes through. This is as of 3:00, like 3:10 when it comes to our projections. Brandon Miller now probable. I didn't know there was an issue with Brandon Miller. Was he questionable? I see he's now probable with his back, but okay.
No, I think he wasn't on the injury report before, and now he's probable.
So that's alarming, right? I mean, that's just something.
It's a tiny downgrade.
Yeah, which is a weird. It's bad. It's alarming that he's probable now. When you have nothing to probable. Okay, interesting. What time does Charlotte play? They play 7:00. I think they do, right? Yeah, they play 7:00. That's the first game.
I can't stop yawning.
Am I boring you, TJ?
No, it's not you. I didn't sleep very well last night, and it's catching up with me right now. I guess I'm, practicing for when the baby gets here and just not sleeping at all, but not handling it well at the moment. I can't stop myself from yawning.
What is it? T-minus a couple months or so? Where are we at?
Less than. We're in the due date month now. It's under a month.
Man, that's. But I guess I can't make an announcement. But yeah, I don't want to steal somebody's announcement. But somebody else may have had in the DFS industry may have had a child today too, or I guess adjacent. They didn't, not literally. Yeah, they welcome somebody to the family. All right, but I'm not making that announcement. I shouldn't do that. Okay. Hey, anything else we should say as far as the slate, or shall we dive in and do the old game by game deal?
No, I think we dive in. Obviously, Portland and Memphis is going to be the big chalky thing, but I think there are a lot of very exciting games, some with very high totals, and very low projected ownership to go alongside them. So I do think that there is some nice tournament opportunities tonight.
Okay, let's talk about Cleveland and Detroit. That's the first game. 221 is the total. Cleveland about 7-8 point favorite here at Detroit. Who is in, who is out? Well, we don't really know about Donovan Mitchell. And also it's on the road. It's at, against Detroit. So if there is a spot you're going to rest him, or if he's not fully, good to go with his knee, maybe he doesn't play. Again, we'll know this. He'll tweet out. He'll let us know soon enough at some point. Karis LeVert, who absolutely smashed, was that last night or 2 nights ago? That was 2 nights ago where he was.
That was 2 nights ago. That was so weird.
It was on my best lineup. I one of those things, like I make more than one lineup. I make like 4 to 6, sometimes 8, but some are like my main lineup. And he was on my fringe lineup, and if it was in the right contest, it would have been a really fun
What
night.
was I missing though? Like I played 150 and I had none.
He was, I had him in one of my 8, and he just sort of was like the last man in that kind of fit. But I mean, he had double overtime, and he was really had positive variance when it came to assists as well. There wasn't anything clear and obvious. He was sort of fine. He was just like one of those players that are fine. Was he heavily owned? I don't think so. Like 5 or 6%.
6%, which was still higher than I expected on a 12-game slate for a bad matchup with nobody out. But then, fair enough, I was talking to our former colleague and my good buddy Dre, and he's like messaging me his exposures. He had 16% Karis LeVert that night, and I was like, what is going on? What did I miss? Kudos. Like, I'm not saying it as a bad thing. This is me who screwed up, but like, damn.
You just really ran good if you had, and not just that, but like if you had anybody in that game. Like that was also the game where everybody had Drummond anyway. I think he had 26 rebounds in double overtime, and I want to say Vooch might have fouled out. I feel like that happened as well. I think several players may have fouled out in that game, double OT. But yeah, I mean, you were already bummed. You did not, if you've hated Drummond, then it just got worse and worse and worse.
It was just so weird. Like 15 assists for Karis LeVert. Why? Why was this dude getting so many assists?
Well, he ran good, and double overtime, and he was in the closing lineup as well.
Yeah,
but it's likely not to be repeated tonight.
Regulation.
How many did he have?
I think he had 12 at the end of regulation, maybe only 11, but like it was a lot.
What about tonight though? I obviously he would get the bump or one of the bigger bumps if Mitchell is out. I'm pulling up our if-then stuff. I think we got LeVert at a 33-point DK projection if we see Mitchell sitting. And, of course, Garland would also be a benefactor. 39 DK points, 38 FanDuel. Allen would look good. Okoro will be playable. Mobley is perfectly fine, and even Strus will be playable. If you want to get weird and goofy, Sam Merrill, don't know how necessary that is, but, like, he theoretically would have a better path. But you tell me if Mitchell is out, you're playing. And I get worth noting, I saw it mentioned in chat, Detroit's defense not as terrible with Beef Stuback. They played better defensively with Stuback. He was, I think he missed 10 games or so, give or take. And he came back and played a ton. And the entire starting lineup, I think, played at least 30 minutes each. So their rotation was not especially goofy last time out. Fontecchio went to the bench. That's probably going to be the case going forward for a while. Cleveland, Detroit, what do you got?
Starting with the Cleveland side of things, if Mitchell is in, I'm probably not going to get much of this team at all. Maybe set a rule, max 1 player from this game, and I'll only include Mitchell and then maybe Allen, Mobley, and Strus still in my pool here. And then I guess LeVert too. If 1 or 2 of these guys are out. So if Donovan Mitchell is out, LeVert would become the top play, and I'd have more interest in these ancillary pieces as well. But if both of them are out, that's where I think we're all of a sudden looking at this team as one of the very best, as the best option on the slate. Garland would pop. Allen and Mobley would both pop. Strus becomes better. Okoro is a value. And then that's when I think I'd really just Donovan Mitchell out. I don't think I'd need to get to Merrill. But if we get both of these guys out, I'm going to get to a lot of Merrill for sure, because he's the type of guy that might only play 18 minutes in that scenario. But if 18 minutes of 3K, that's probably more than enough for him to do well enough. And then if this turns into some kind of blowout because Detroit obviously just wants to lose all their games, that's when if Merrill sees 20-plus minutes, he could end up having like a 10x game. So if we get both of these guys out, I'm definitely going to be playing a decent amount of them.
Detroit pretty well entrenched in the take-a-thon sweepstakes. They're currently in the 2 spot. They have a 3-game cushion on San Antonio, and then 4th is Charlotte and Portland. There's 6 games behind or in front of, depending how you look at it with Detroit. So Detroit's, they've done their job. They can coast. They're not going to win. They may win 6 games the rest of the way, probably not. But if they do, Charlotte or Portland, they're going to accidentally win 1, right? Yeah, I think they got to win 1 at some point. So that they're pretty much where they need to be as far as the tankathon stuff. I was a little surprised our if-then stuff. We only have Sam Merrill playing 14 minutes if Mitchell is out. Now this stuff might change, of course, but to me that seemed a little bit low. You said 18, and I feel like 18 is more likely too. But that's not my department.
Well, if just Mitchell is out, though, that's the thing. It'll probably be 14. If just Mitchell's out, he's only going to play 14. It's if LeVert is out, then that's going to start going up.
That's a good point. That definitely. Yeah, both those guys are out. You're right. The FDM was just for Mitchell. That is a good point to stress. Detroit. Do we like anybody in Detroit? You can always play Cade Cunningham, sure. Jalen Duren, he's got the high ceiling as far as boards. You catch him on the right night when it comes to stocks. Not the best matchup inside to score against, Allen and Mobley. I don't like a lot of Detroit. No priorities. How about yourself?
No priorities. I think it's okay to like Detroit, but tough to love Detroit. Cade Cunningham, obviously the top play anytime he steps on the court. Anytime he's under 8K as well is enticing. But it's Cleveland. It's one of the worst matchups on the board. Duren, Stewart, I think both of those guys are fine for tournaments. But I'd maybe even be more likely to go to somebody like Quentin Grimes, honestly, as my most likely player to play here. 20 minutes below 4K, but I don't really want to get to anybody.
Charlotte taking on Philadelphia. Possible revenge game for Kelly Oubre, but he is officially questionable with his shoulder, as is KJ Martin. He's got an ankle. We just got the update for Grant Williams. Apparently, he's off the injury report altogether. He was probable with the back. LaMelo, Mark Williams, the deal there. They're both probably not playing the rest of the season. Will they tell us that? No, but that's how it's going to play out. 214 is the total. Charlotte 11-point dog here. It's not high. It's not tight. Certainly a game where Tyrese Maxey can put up 40 actual points in the bucket against this Charlotte team. I know Charlotte recently, small sample stuff, they've been much better defensively. But, if he gets loose here, it wouldn't shock me if he just kept scoring. And Tobias Harris has been pretty horrendous of late, but possibly, theoretically, maybe he gets back here. I don't know. Philadelphia has been terrible defensively in the absence of Embiid. What are we doing here with the Hornets and the Sixers, the other 7:00 game?
If we get Donovan Mitchell and Karis LeVert both playing, I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world to just ignore the 2 7:00 games and make it a 5-game slate. Obviously, that's a little less exciting with no late swap. There's no real point of doing that. But still, there's nothing from either of these teams that entices me all that much. It's like you said, Maxey absolutely could have a big game. I'll keep him in the pool. Tobias Harris, sure. Paul Reed is probably the one I'm most interested in here for tournaments. Isn't going to play a lot of minutes, but it's a big against Charlotte at low ownership. And then I did set a rule here that if I'm going to play this player, I won't play any other player in this game because he would only get extended blowout run. But I do have Mo Bamba in the pool as well, just because he's only $3,300. They're 11.5 points. They're 11-point favorites in this one. If that's 16-17, he gets that a little bit of extra fourth quarter run. Bamba can end up being a really good value at 3,300. So I don't hate taking a shot there, but it's really just Maxey, Harris, Reed. And then on the Charlotte side of things, again, it's everybody's okay. I could see Trey Mann having a big game. I could see Brandon Miller having a big game. I could see Grant Williams and Cody Martin being perfectly reasonable values, but nobody really stands out. I think if I was going to play one player, the one I'd be most excited to play would be Miles Bridges. But still, just no one super enticing here.
Yeah, David in chat mentioned what I was going to say. The Philly coach just put Reed on notice. He kind of I think he was talking about the 4s and 5s just kind of not being spectacular of late. Maybe Bamba gets a little bit more run. We'll see. Good matchup here, obviously inside against Charlotte. It is interesting with Bamba. He's the second best fantasy points per minute player in this game. Obviously, he only plays so many minutes, but 1.12 on the season. Certainly there is a path. No reason to say this, but of course you don't play both. I don't know if you're going to put a rule in. If you're considering Reed, you're considering Bamba. They're both in your pool. Max set at 1. You do not play both of those.
Starts. My rule is it's not even max just one of them. It's if I'm playing Bamba, I'm not playing Maxey, Harris, Reed. I'm not playing Bridges, Miller, Mann, Richards, any of these guys. I'm just saying he gets extended run in a blowout. I don't want to play anybody else in this game. If he starts, that's obviously a totally different story, and I would be Xing Paul Reed out of the pool then.
Looks like we're just getting an update now on projections because I saw JT Thor is getting 0.6 as a median projection. So he may play. We're probably projecting him for a minute or so as our projections are getting updated. And I just lost.
Yeah, we did just get one.
Okay. Eric wants to know if he can play Shake Milton at 3K. Like that's to me. What are we doing? We're not playing Shake. What kind of story you got to tell yourself to play Shake Milton tonight?
Shake Milton is not even like projected in lineup HQ. I don't even know where Shake Milton plays anymore.
Is he not on Philadelphia anymore? I think he might not be on Philadelphia. I think
Isn't he on like Minnesota?
Now. I think he is on Minnesota. I think so. No, he's on Detroit. Who he played for? Wow, when did that happen? Yeah, I feel like I'm getting flashbacks. I recall when this was happening, but no matter what team he's playing for, you're not playing. You're not.
Why would you play Shake Milton?
Why
would that even be a thought? Why would that enter your head?
Because Eric, now we spent 30 seconds on it, and Eric had a good time. Yeah, he was okay. Michael's telling us that was a part of the Monte Morris trade. When Minnesota got Monte
3K. If I was 3K, you still shouldn't play me because I'm not going to get any minutes.
Yeah, you're going to score the same amount of Shake Milton though.
Yeah,
probably. He's got a higher ceiling though. To be fair. Okay. Anything else at 7:00, or shall we move on?
No, I think the two ugliest games of the slate. Let's get Dallas and Boston out of the way, and then everything else is pretty fun.
Yeah. Well, I think Dallas-Boston's fun, too, if you have salary. And the problem is, say it with me, TJ, we do live in the world of a salary cap. And, sir, I've seen some lineups with, a bunch of Memphis, Portland nonsense with Luka, or a bunch of Memphis, Portland nonsense with Tatum on the other side. I like both these players as big spends, but certainly you got to pay for them. And, I think you have the salary savers if you really want to make that stuff work. We should also mention Luka is officially questionable. His game is 7:30. It's on ESPN, some extra reporting. So theoretically, we will know the news. They're supposed to tell their lineups a half hour before. So hopefully we don't get it exactly like 6:59, 7:00. But yeah, Luka's got that nose. He's got an ankle. So he's questionable. Otherwise on Dallas, they're clear. They're good to go. Maxi Kleber also has a nose. It is an epidemic there in Dallas with those noses. And Boston's fully healthy. O'Shea Brissett is questionable, but he does not matter. 237.5 is a total, and Boston's about a 10-point favorite, 9-point favorite here. Boston's really good. They keep winning. But assuming this game stays close, Luka could play potentially 40 minutes here. I know the matchup's not great, but it is still Luka, and he's matchup proof. You got the Kyrie revenge. If you want to stick with that theme, pair him with the Oubre revenge we've already talked about. But how do you feel about the Celtics versus the Mavs?
Just Kyrie and Luka for the Mavs, not going to be touching anybody else there. Obviously, if Luka's out, that's a different story. We're expecting him to play, but Kyrie would probably become the top play on the slate. More interested in PJ Washington, Tim Hardaway Jr. Somewhat, I would be moderately tempted to take a shot on one of the cheap centers for their team, but you just don't know who's going to get the minutes. I think they do both have ceilings if they can get a couple more minutes than the other one, but just not necessary. They got a wealth of big men there now. So just going to be Doncic and Kyrie for me. And then on the Boston side of things, they're much more interesting. Dallas is nowhere near as good defensively as Boston. They got 123 total. I believe that's the highest on the slate. And so all of them are in play. None of them are even priced that ridiculously. Tatum below 5K, great option. Brown below 8K. Porzingis below 7,500. All these guys are great options. Derek White is probably the one I feel like I don't need at 6,500 because I'd much rather play Drew Holiday at 59, especially considering that Holiday's not getting that highly owned today. He's projected for 7% ownership. And so I'd probably rather just go Holiday. And then just in case, Boston blows anybody out. Sometimes it doesn't matter who. And so I don't hate the idea of $3,500 Peyton Pritchard, kind of the same mindset of the Mo Bamba play. Drop a rule in there. If I'm playing Pritchard, I will not be playing any of the other Dallas players or Boston players.
All right. If I can't quite get to Tatum and Luka, that seems really hard. Theoretically, I love the idea of pairing those two together, but again, salary issues.
Porzingis, Kyrie. Porzingis, Kyrie, you got double revenge.
Double revenge. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. That you could do it both ways. But those are my four favorite players in the game as well. But yeah, salary is the thing. Obviously, Tatum, Porzingis, Luka, Jaylen Brown's perfectly fine as well. I think I agree with you as far as Holiday versus White. I'm good with either. But like if
Brandon Miller is now questionable.
He's going to be out.
Thickens.
He's going to hit every single one of them. He's going to hit every tag. I mean, there's no way you could be probable and questionable and not even like he's got to be out, right? Like I don't want to assume, but he's going to be out. That's just how that goes. Interesting. Does that change anything for? Trying to see who else would benefit from that. Grant Williams. Would they play Mann and Mitchich more together? Because that's both those guys are like good, but neither gets to play enough because they kind of eat off each other's minutes. Mann is so frustrating because they don't let him close many times. And like he gets off these great starts and he just disappears. I
would actually expect Grant Williams to enter the starting lineup. That would be my guess. And that's probably like they choose one of Mitchich or Mann again to close, and it's probably Cody Martin at the 2. Miles Bridges at the 3, Grant Williams at the 4, and Richards at the 5.
They would only have 10 for the record. They would only have 10 if they lost. And again, this is speculation, but it seems like it's going in that direction. If they lost Brandon Miller, Mann, Martin, Bridges, Richards with Williams jumping in the starting lineup, which I agree with. That makes sense. And their bench would be really thin with Mitchich.
Can Bertans pick up more minutes, or is he somebody that's just been injured so often that he won't play?
I mean, yeah,
isn't he making like $20 million a year right now?
He signed a 4 or 5 year deal with Washington about 4 years ago or so. 5 years, 80 mil or something like that. And I remember, I just couldn't believe that that's what he got, and good for him. But man, that contract has not looked good. Now he's been passed around several times too. But yeah, I mean, he had one good year. He had an outlier year with shooting from 3, like insane percentage, and he cashed in on it, and that's what he still can do. He can hit threes. He is 3K. But I was just the depth though, like JT Thor. You don't want. I mean, JT Thor can play 25 minutes, 30 minutes. You still probably don't want him. Ditto with Bryce McCallens. Probably true with Seth Curry as well. And I don't know if he can play 25 or 30 minutes. You might get some tight rotation minutes here with Charlotte if you lose Brandon Miller. That's interesting. That's all speculation that we can kind of bounce back if that does change. But I want to point this out as far as the giveaway on the live stream chat channel. Like sometimes this channel is pretty quiet, so it's very easy to find Steve's post. But there's some activity on there, and if you want to jump on the live stream chat channel and you want to get eligible, to win a week free of RG Premium, it might be a little tricky to find at 5:11. So there's timestamps at 5:11. Producer Steve just put Happy Friday. Use this message to be entered. And he's a stickler. You gotta if you're going off the board, you just write in, "Hey, I'm here." It doesn't count. Make his job easier. Help him out. And just click the avatar right underneath that post at 5:11 because there's some postings below it. So you might have a little bit of issue as far as finding it, but there you go. And again, we're going to do that drawing at 6 o'clock, give or take, give away a couple weeks of RG Premium. Anything else as far as Dallas, Boston, or shall we discuss the Warriors and your Raptors?
Let's do it. Let's go on to the next one. I got to say, as we get to these more exciting games, I haven't yawned in at least 15, 20 minutes. So we're definitely I don't even think I'm to blame. I think it was the early games that we had to blame. Now things are picking up. I'm getting more energetic. Things are getting spicy. We got almost 300 people watching. Let's pump these likes way, way up here. Steve knows this. I had a funny RotoGrinders Today show in the morning with Blender the other day. We ended up getting a bunch of Facebook bots started logging into the stream. And so we have 600 viewers on Facebook, and there were people asking us if we needed a wife, and other people asking for help because they just missed it. Need more followers. Yeah, it was a pretty funny thing.
Yeah, I can see Blender having a good time with that for sure. It is interesting when the bots invade the show. It's always a good time had by all for sure. Did get an update as far as our projections, by the way, last 10 minutes or so. Do give that a refresh because, again, Memphis is still popping like crazy. Maybe some more stuff will come in to kind of trickle through. It changes that, but as of right now, Memphis is looking spectacular. Are you going to take any performance enhancers and any sort of like a, I don't know, 5-hour energy and any monster? You got a 3-hour movie. You're excited to watch Dune for sure, or you think you're going to be able to, not fall asleep. Side story, I tried watching Dune when it came out in HBO or Max, whatever it was called at the time, and I fell asleep in the first 10 minutes. Now, I was tired, to be fair, and that's not my kind of movie, but I zonked out 5 minutes in. I know people love it. I'm not going to besmirch. I never went back, never revisited. But yeah, you're going to be good to go for tonight. You're going to be alive watching the movie.
Oh yeah. I'll be totally fine. I'll be ready to rock for it. Apparently, it's much faster paced than the first Dune movie is. I don't know if I'm definitely not going to be taking, like, maybe I'll have like an iced tea here at the theater, because iced tea in Canada is 1 billion times better than iced tea or sweet tea in the States. Just really? Another planet, like a totally different drink, and it's just way better.
Don't tell that to a Southerner. They're very serious about their sweet tea in the South.
It's like it's like a totally different thing. I see a lot of people in the chat like gonna be like saying they weren't a fan of Dune. I wasn't a fan of the first Dune either. Apparently this movie though is, I've like a lot of people I have had Southern iced tea. I've been to the Southern States many times, Brandon Wilcox. But Dune, I'm told this second one is like, by people I trust, people I whose opinions I value, saying like very much saying like this may be the greatest theater experience ever.
Wow, that's a bold proclamation for sure. And I know Rotten Tomatoes is not like the Bible or whatever, right? But when you have a 94, 95 consensus on RT, that means something, right? I know that like obviously there's varying opinions, but if a large community, and most overwhelmingly 2 hours and 46 minutes. Audience 95%, 94% from the critics as well. So they're in line also. Okay, let's jump back, right? We got to get back on the slate. Golden State, the Raptors, 236.5 is a total. We're expecting Moody to continue to start there. No Pods. Pods is ruled out tonight. In addition to Wiggins still out. That's kind of a bummer, right? Will be a homecoming. Right? Is he from Toronto? I think he's from Toronto, right?
A suburb of it, yeah.
Close enough. Mississauga, right? That's the only suburb I know. Maybe he's from there.
That's one of 50 of them.
Yeah, but that's good. I mean, that's a good one to know, though. That's a good pull. Raise me on Mississauga. What else you got? Everybody's just going to fold there. Santos is out. That doesn't really matter. Boucher is ill. He's questionable. Doesn't really matter for our purposes. How do you feel about the Warriors and the Raptors tonight?
Yeah, this is a very, very fun game. I'm currently looking up where he is, just from Toronto, Canada, specifically. That's what it says, Toronto. So not a suburb on Wikipedia. But who knows? Wikipedia could be incorrect there as well. I love Toronto and Golden State today. Very, very fun game. Golden State without some of their pieces. Don't get me wrong. I think Curry is interesting up top, but it's mostly this mid-range that I'm looking to get to. Jordan Kuminga, probably my favorite play on this team. I think Draymond and Klay Thompson are fine, but I'd be more likely to get to Chris Paul. I think Moses Moody as a value is fine, but I would rather actually go all the way down to Gary Payton. I'd rather go all the way down to Gary Payton II. Doesn't get a ton of minutes, but he is a great fantasy point per minute producer. If he ends up picking a bit more, he has slate breaking value upside. So Golden State, big 120 total. Should be a little bit more concentrated without Andrew Wiggins, without Brandon Podziemski. More minutes to go around. I like these guys quite a bit. On the Toronto side of thing, same thing. Like I like all these Toronto players. The entire starting lineup: Barnes, Quickly, Barrett, Pirtle, Trent. Trent would be the one I like the least, but all of the other ones quite a bit. Trent's seen his price go up, so I don't think I need that one quite as much. I'd much rather play Grady Dick for $1,000 cheaper. But Barrett and Quickly, both fantastic options. Scotty Barnes, my favorite. Barnes is probably my favorite tournament spend up on the slate, I think. Like if you're not including
Barnes is.
Yeah, I think I would rather go to Barnes than all the way up to Luka, or I'd rather do like the Barnes Tatum route as my spend ups, I think.
Interesting. I like him too. I wouldn't say he's my favorite. He might be in the podium. But I like the Tatum Luka game. I like that Boston Dallas game. obviously under the assumption that Luka does play. David is like in my head because he said the same thing I was thinking about too. We're projecting Clay to start. He seems to like coming off the bench now, right? He's adapting to it pretty well. When he comes in, he fires away in the second unit. I think there's a chance. You mentioned Gary Payton. There's a chance that he draws the start. I should say Gary Payton the second. He's not the glove, of course. He's the mitten. Gary Payton the second might draw the start there. Do we have to scrape the barrel? And if we do you like Moody or Payton? It sounds like you prefer Payton over Moody as far as the cheapies on Golden State.
Yeah, raw points, I view them very similarly, but I think Payton has a higher upside, and he's just so much cheaper, so I'd way rather go there.
Kuminga versus Green?
Kuminga. 10 times out of 10. Doesn't matter the matchup. I'm picking Kuminga every time. The ceiling's so much higher.
Yeah, he had a big game last night, too. Dollar for dollar, I prefer Quickly as my favorite play on Toronto. Obviously, if I have the salary, all the salary in the world, I do prefer Scotty Barnes, like you mentioned. Anything else we should know? Anything else we should point out as far as the Warriors and Toronto? I'm all over the Twitter trying to see if any news is coming in. No news just yet when it comes to starting lineups, when it comes to injuries and all that. But 7:30 game, maybe we'll get the starting lineup. Does it matter? Like if you're playing Payton, do you want him to start? Like certainly if he starts, his usage goes down a little bit, but he's also not a guy that gets there from taking a bunch of shots. You know, you kind of need a couple threes, a couple steals. That's kind of how he gets there.
Yeah, but, I'd like him more because I think his projection probably goes up from like 17 to like a 22, 23. But I'd still be okay with him as a tournament value, even if he doesn't.
Butho in chat says it's Pirtle season. I don't really love the Pirtle matchup here. I don't think this is kind of on the expensive end for Pirtle. I don't think I'm playing him. I'm not making a ton of lineups. You probably are almost definitely making more than me. But yeah, I'm not getting the Pirtle. Are you getting the Pirtle?
If you're building a lot of lineups, he needs to stay in the pool just because he's got a very high ceiling. I don't really ever seem to get him correct. David Correa brought up in chat, like he could get run off the court. I always seem to think that about Pirtle. Anytime I seem to think that he's going to get less minutes because the game will go small, he ends up having like his biggest games of the year. And so that's why I'm hesitant there. Now, like we're looking at this guy and he's put up 46 fantasy points last game, 37 the game before, 42 before that. He's put up a 50 burger here in February already.
What was the stat line? What was the 50 burger? How did he get there? A bunch of blocks, not assists.
Let's see.
Like 15 boards, like 4 blocks, something like that. That had to be
19 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks.
Okay, all right.
That was a 43. That was a 43-point game. Sorry, hold on. Let me look at the 50-point game. It was 16 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 6 blocks.
Well, there you go. 9 stops. Who does he think he is? Wemby? Come on.
Yeah.
Is that? By the way, Shad, did you watch any Wemby last night? Just insane. I have some Chet shares as far as rookie of the year, but I think he kind of locked it up last night with that, the walk-off block essentially into a transition. I think it was transition dunk. That was spectacular. By the way, he's 20. He's 20 years old. He's 20. He just turned 20. Just turned 20 in January. The ceiling is the roof, as Jordan would say. It's completely insane. Yeah, I don't mean to derail the show, but did you catch that, TJ? Did you watch any of Wemby last night? It's just spectacular.
Yeah, it's something special to watch. Like, it's just foolish. It's so funny looking. Just like seeing him do all of these crazy stuff. Like, he just doesn't look like a human being. It's wild to think that, like, he and, just regular people like us are the same species of human being. You know what I mean? Like, he's a superhero compared to us. It's incredible.
He's got that V, right? No.
Some compound V?
Yes. I knew that was a joke you would get, at least. I'm not making any allocations, to be clear. Yeah. Should I watch that sideshow for the boys? What's that one called on the
Gen V? It's called Gen V. I genuinely liked it better. I thought it was absolutely amazing.
Really? That's a bold statement, sir. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's arguably better than the boys.
Okay, I guess I will watch it. I was on the fence. It's on my queue on the Amazon, but Yeah, I figured I will knock that out. And the new season for the boys is coming up, I think, in several months or so. It's around the corner, not too far away.
Yeah, it's coming soon. They just released the Homelander sneakers on their Twitter page so they can help pay for his legal fees.
Did not see that, but I see what they're doing there. Yes. Yeah, a very clever show. Okay, let's move on. We're done with Golden State and Toronto, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so the hammer, it's a dual prong hammer. There's 3 games, dual prong. There's 3 prongs, 3 games going on at 8:00. Crunch time, by the way. Crunch time coming in at 6:15 or so with Will. Who is joining Will? Do I not know who's joining Will? I know Kevin Roth is going to be there. Oh, Taylor.
Taylor, I think, is the other one.
Okay, and again, if you guys are joining us late, people people don't watch us from start to finish, right? But if you're not aware, we're doing a giveaway today. We'll be doing giveaways going forward, 6:00 on the East Coast. Get in there. That's Discord, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Go to the live stream chat channel and, click on the avatar. At 5:11, producer Steve, he put a message there in the Discord and just hit the avatar, the new RG logo. Your name will be thrown on the wheel. We're going to spin it in about 15 minutes or so. And make Steve's job easier. Let's not wait to the last second, right? He doesn't want to collect these names at 5:58. No necessary, no more induced stress. Let's talk about the very first game of the last of the 3 8:00 games. That's the Pacers. The Pacers and the Pels, 239 is the total. The Pelicans, 5-point favorites here. It's high. It's pretty tight, right? Indiana, just a 5-point dog here. New Orleans, I was shocked that everybody played on Friday, or was it Friday, their last game? Whatever it was, their last game was, maybe it was Wednesday. I couldn't believe they all played. Today is Friday. Yeah, I'm all turned around. But they're healthy, and we saw Zion play on the back half of back-to-back. Indiana's pretty healthy as well. There's no McDermott, not a big deal. Naismith may come back tonight. If he comes back, he probably eats off Mathurin a little bit, Nembhard a little bit. We'll see. But as far as New Orleans, Indiana, this is one of those games where it's a 239 total. It's the Pacers. We should get a lot of this, and I like Zion. I'm a little bit light on this game, and I'm kind of concerned. Is that a mistake? Am I setting myself up for failure if I don't load up here?
I think this is the best tournament game on the slate. No one is getting – this is the one I was alluding to right at the beginning of the show with a massive total and no real ownership to go alongside of it. Tyrese Halliburton at 9,400. The ceiling's still there. This guy could have 30 and 10 in every single game. We don't know when it's going to happen, but it always can happen. So Halliburton, absolutely. Turner is fine, but a lot of this really depends on Aaron Nesmith. As much of a non-big name Aaron Nesmith is, he's pretty integral for this slate in terms of Indiana, because if he's out, it means a lot more minutes for Benedict Mathurin. It even opens up a guy like Obi Toppin as a potential value play. So if Nesmith is in, it's probably just going to be Tyrese Halliburton for me, maybe a little bit of Miles Turner. If Nesmith is out, I'm going to mix in a lot of Benedict Mathurin, because that means he's probably going to play more than 30 minutes. And as long as he doesn't shoot terribly like he did last game, he's up. He's could be in line for a really big score. On the Pelican side of thing, it's more of the same. Brandon Ingram put up a massive game just against these guys last game it's a wonderful matchup, and he only played 28 minutes. He should probably play a little bit more now because he's not coming off injury on the second half of a back-to-back. I really think Ingram is a great tournament play. I think Zion's a great tournament play. He has projecting for like 16% ownership right now. I don't think it's going to be that high. I think people are going to look at that dud from last game and avoid it a little bit with all these other options. Maybe not. I could be wrong. Even so, it's still under 20%. It's not like it's very high. But Ingram and McCollum are the two guys I'm most interested in here, both projecting for about 5% ownership. And then even Larry Nance, I don't think that's crazy. He started the second half for them last game. No reason to think it wouldn't happen again in a fast-paced matchup like Indy. We're probably going to see extended Larry Nance minutes.
Yeah, like you're concerned about Pirtle, like not playing, getting played off the court. That happens much more for Jonas Valanciunas, especially when they're healthy, especially when they have Zion and like Ingram and different kind of parts that kind of shuffling it out. But like you said, the biggest benefactor tends to be Nance, although Nance is just such a volatile, low usage. He can get there sometimes with boards and blocks and dunks, the occasional three. But yeah, I'm always hesitant to play Valanciunas for that reason. But whenever he gets a chance, certainly he can fully smash. But I'm not there tonight on Joe Val. What's interesting, by the way, there are if-then stuff. We have an if-then set up if Naismith doesn't play. And still, if he's out, there are still 0 positive DK values for the Pacers. There's 0 positive FanDuel values. And like you said, you're talking about a tournament. You're talking about playing him for tournaments potentially. The matchup here against the Orleans, obviously not spectacular. It's a pace-up game for the Pels on the other side. We're starting to feature the SimLab stuff, TJ. I'm curious. You said this is your favorite. This is your favorite game on the night. Let's try something.
Favorite one to pick out low-owned tournament plays of the night.
There you go. I didn't mean to frame it that way. Yeah, but you were talking. So if we're going to do something on SimLabs as far as if we're going to run large field, like for a large field, this isn't for like your single entry contest necessarily. This isn't for your contest that has 200 entries. We're talking about thousands upon thousands, and we're trying to bank in 40,000 entries or so.
LeVert and Donovan Mitchell both ruled out.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's going to change things dramatically.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted you. Continue with this, and we'll revisit that after the projections update.
Yeah. Okay. So I was just going to ask if you can kind of lock in a player or two from this game, and I'm curious if Steve can run some lineups, and we'll see what they look like. Now, these lineups are probably look different now with the Cleveland news, but just for the theory, just understanding how SimLabs works. If you're making a stack as far as this game for extreme tournaments, what would be the players, your favorite players you would lock in?
That'd be the tough thing about this. So I'd probably do like a couple with Ingram and Halliburton, and then a couple with Zion, Halliburton, and then a couple with McCollum. I wouldn't do it all at once. I would do three different ones, but the most important, I would probably do like a Halliburton Ingram.
Okay, yeah. For the purpose of the example, we're not going to run them all, obviously. We're not going to run Steve all over the place. But, if we're going to lock in Halliburton and Ingram, and let's see what those lineups look like. If this is for large field, and he's putting on a fair bit of juice when it comes to variance as well. And, TJ, what do you think? What do you see as far as you're still getting some Grizz, you're still getting some Portland stuff, obviously. And certainly this is like a little bit off the board when it comes to ownership stuff. But there is the ownership on the left-hand side, TJ. Your thoughts as far as the players that are coming with? It's all Grizz. No shock.
Brandon Miller ruled out as well, so some more adjustments that are going to happen. There's a few guys I'd probably try and get a little less of on this. Santi Aldama, Tobias Harris. I'd get a little bit lower on, but that's the beauty of playing the Halliburtons and the Ingrams is I can play chalk alongside them, and I'm already different enough.
So Steve just ran 20 lineups. If you like, you can scroll through them individually. If you like a lineup, you just star it, you keep it, you save it. If you don't like a lineup, you can just go through it individually. You can ditch it.
The first one's beautiful.
Well, it is until all this news is coming in, and now it might be expired, right?
Yeah.
It was beautiful like 4 minutes ago, but I don't know if you still want to play it. Certainly you can, but it seems like we're going to have we're going to talk about it in a second, but Cleveland feels like a spot where can you have 0 players on Cleveland right now? I'm not sure. That seems something
it's looking a lot tougher to do that now. Yeah.
You're going to have at least one player on Cleveland. And I don't even think you have to pump it up. Organically, it's going to happen. It's going to be hard to avoid.
I don't know if it's specifically going to be like Merrill as that guy, but I have a tough time imagining I don't have Merrill or Darius Garland in every single lineup I play, because if this game stays close, Garland's probably going to smash. If it doesn't, Merrill's probably going to smash.
Let's go ahead and just table that for a second, give our projection team 10 minutes or so. And if nothing else, Crunch Time's going to talk about it. But good, I want to circle back. And I did want to mention, if you want to use SimLabs, of course, if you are a combo subscriber, if you're an NBA subscriber, you have access to SimLabs. Use that at your own leisure. If you're not a subscriber, you can actually, $10 off your first month. And I believe there's a 3-day sample. You get yourself a 3-day pass. If you just want to taste, you're not sure if you want to fully commit, $19.99. You get every single sport, all the bells, all the whistles, the exception of NASCAR. Get yourself a 3-day trial. that'll be in the description, and maybe Steve is going to go ahead and drop in that in chat as well. And since I mentioned Steve, we're close enough to 6 o'clock. We still have 2 games. We're going to circle back on Cleveland. We probably should knock out our giveaway as well. Steve, if you want to come on and chime in, we can spin the wheel. I don't know if we've hit enough likes to give out 2 individual weeks, or if we're just at 1. Hit that like button to persuade Steve to spin the wheel twice. Like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, do all that. We appreciate it. Steve, we have the names compiled. We're good to go. Here's our new wheel design, which nobody asked me for approval, but I guess that's not my department.
We're going to change it up next week.
I don't know how you're going to top this, but good luck. The bar has been set pretty high.
Let's see. 76 likes. We could bump that up, but it's Friday, so we're still going to do 2.
All right. So 2 individual weeks. Let's give the wheel a spin.
All right, here we go.
Yeezy, let's get it! My guy!
No, it's the guy who says
Brandon.
The guy who says it's rigged every.
The guy who said it's rigged, though.
The guy who says
Brandon's
it's rigged wins. Brandon can't get it because it's rigged.
Brandon,
Yeah, it's rigged. You can't have
right?
it both ways. Either it's rigged or you win. You gotta declare in the chat. Tell us it's not rigged. He's still.
You need to immediately take it back if you want this free week of RotoGrinders Premium, Brandon. You got to apologize and you got to take it back. Otherwise, we are rescinding this win.
He says it's rigged for him to win.
Brandon,
there you go.
I'll just shuffle it up. I'll shuffle it up so everyone can see. All right, and here is the second one.
TJ is rocking out over there. That'll wake him up.
Snow Fanatic. All right. All right, I'll shoot you guys a message in Discord. Congratulations and happy Friday.
Probably somebody, TJ. That's probably a Canadian, right? Snow Fanatic, most likely. Yeah, that's the one that's sneaky rigged. We didn't talk about that one being rigged, but that one, of course, is sneaky rigged. Okay, if you guys don't know, if you're not aware, but who's in chat saying, Lynchpin saying, how do you get in? See, I say this several times throughout the show, and you probably joined late. That's fine. But RotoGrinders Discord account, rotogrinders.com/Discord, the live stream chat channel. Just, hit the avatar when Steve puts this is too late for today, obviously, but so going forward, we do this 6 o'clock on the East Coast on Fridays and probably going forward every single day. Seth Curry is starting. That feels like fool's gold to me, my first thought, but it's a revenge game for Seth Curry, right? He can hit like 6 or 7 threes in theory, but okay. Is he still min? Yeah, basically 3-4. Okay, we'll circle back on that one, but I still think your inclination of Grant Williams is probably the biggest benefactor, and I really wonder if they'll play Mann and Mitchell together. Yes, Elaine Bennis has got nothing on you, TJ. Let's talk about these last 2 games. We'll circle back when it comes to the news coming in. Crunch time knocking on the door in 15 minutes. Taylor Smith, you got Kevin Roth, as well as the late swapped Will Chief is going to be holding down Crunch time, taking you all the way up to 7 o'clock. The Kings are playing the Wolves. 225 is a total. 6-point dogs here as far as Sacramento. And the big deal here is Fox is questionable. And it's an 8 o'clock game. And on FanDuel, there's late swap. On DK, there's not. Have you heard? Yeah, late swap. So we don't know if Fox is going to play. By lean as he will. And the other side, Anthony Edwards, he plays through everything. He's got an ankle. He's officially questionable. We'll see. Will we get that news? I don't know. There's a great game theory approach to that. And I'm curious, if we don't get news on Fox, we don't get news on Edwards, especially the person that has one lineup, they're going to be apprehensive. They're not going to want to play those guys. They're just not going to want to. And I don't know how if our ownership stuff figures that in, how do you even consider that, right? The human element, it's based, I think, mostly on, just what their projections happen to be. But I feel human element's going to matter too when it comes to guys like that. If you don't have the news, people will be apprehensive. So you're probably supposed to lean in if you like Edwards, you're supposed to go over and just hope. And if, you get a 0, you get a 0. So be it. But that's the, process versus results. Do you have a similar thought point when it comes to, especially the studs that are questionable, not knowing as far as locking them in, locking them out. And maybe you get a 0, but maybe you get a stud that nobody's playing because everybody's afraid.
Yeah, it depends. If I really like them and they're in a great spot, I don't mind doing it. So for a perfect example, I will probably do this with Edwards, but not Fox.
Yeah.
Minnesota, one of the best defensive teams in the league. Fox gets a ton of his points inside, and they have the best, second best rim protector in all of basketball. I'm probably going to not go with the De'Aaron Fox one. Anthony Edwards, I will take some shots on, though. It's a good matchup against Sacramento, and I think he could have a high total here. High ceiling here, sorry.
I see you mentioning in this chat. We might as well mention it too, and I'm sure producer Steve can pull up the tweet because I believe the clock is ticking as far as the switch for a Switch. You can win yourself a Nintendo Switch if you switch your avatar, FanDuel DraftKings avatar, to the new RG logo, and you take a picture of it and you respond to the tweet. Not in the chat, but you respond to it on the Twitter. I think 8 o'clock on the East Coast is the deadline. There it is. Yeah, enter by Friday the 1st, 8 p.m. So you have less than 2 hours to respond to that. We're not giving away one. We're giving away 2 individual Nintendo Switches. And on top of that, TJ is sweetening the pot. He will play Mario Kart with you up till 4 o'clock in the morning, depending on.
Yeah. Whatever game you want to play, really. Like, if you want the smoke, if you think you can beat me in a Pokemon battle, I guarantee you can't. But like some Super Smash, some Pokemon, some little Sonic and Mario at the Olympic Games. I don't care. Whatever you want. We'll play some Mario Kart, whoever the winner is.
So Sonic and Mario are in the same world now? Have I missed out on this?
Yeah, I like their rights to the same people. Yeah, like Nintendo has Sonic the Hedgehog rights.
Okay, no, because Sonic was always forever was a Sega product, right? I guess is Sega no longer a thing in any sort of capacity, right?
Yeah,
that was their answer.
They license their games to other people now. They don't make their own consoles or anything.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, but because as somebody that I do not have a Nintendo or Nintendo Switch, and I would love to play Mario Kart, but do I want to get it just for Mario Kart? I don't know, but maybe I should, so I can take you down. You're talking all this smack, TJ. I want to see if you're all bark and no bite. But by the way, we did get an update when it comes to our projections. I want to circle back on this too and get the old refresh. And
we got lots of updates with we got a Cleveland starting lineup. We got Klay Thompson will start for Brandon Podziemski. We got Luka's in.
What's the most meaningful thing here as far as the update? Yeah, Luka we expected to play. Klay starting is a little surprising. I think I still like him just fine, right? Like either way, he was fine. Do you like Klay more by chance? Maybe he gets an extra minute or two. That should help.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but not in particular anymore. I think what we got to do now is just return to Cleveland, right? Because Cleveland is now. No.
We got to talk Memphis.
Do we want to do that before Cleveland? We got the update. Well, that's why I brought it up.
Oh, okay. I thought you forgot about that game, and I don't really want to because I don't know. We're just throwing darts here in that game, but
that's why I just figured we just got the update, so it's like right now the Cleveland plays are rating out just as good as the Memphis ones are, and so or almost as good. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positive RG values, with Merrill, Porter, Niang, and Wade all looking like they could be somewhat viable in tournaments as values.
Porter at 3K, they only have 10 dudes. How many minutes can he play? Because we know that guy likes to chuck if he gets out there, if he has any chance. What are we projecting for his minutes? And he would be an awesome mop-up guy.
14.95 fantasy points.
Man. I think how many lineups you making, TJ?
150.
You got to get a taste of Porter. You got to get a taste.
Yeah,
I think you got to get a taste.
I will. I'll get a taste.
But you could fall on your face there, and it could be a disaster. But I think he's pretty interesting. They're down to 10 dudes. Matchup against Detroit as well, so it could. They're only 7-8 point favorites, and we've said Detroit's playing a little bit better of late. Shout out to them for trying. But did you want to circle back as far as Cleveland? We don't have an official starting lineup, I don't think, but we're projecting at Garland, Strus, Okoro, Mobley, Allen. On the bench, Niang, Wade, Sam Merrill, Damian Jones, and Craig Porter. Does Jones even play? Does he get a minute? Probably not, right? And if he does, it's irrelevant. I'm just trying to think if they're running 9 or 10. Are we giving any minutes to Jones? We're giving him 7. All right. Fair enough. I was thinking he wasn't that necessary, but okay. So circle back as far as Cleveland. What are we stressing here? Garland looks awesome. Yes.
Yeah, but Garland's the top play on the slate now. And all of these guys are looking very, very interesting. So the rule I just made is I'm going to have exactly one of Darius Garland, Craig Porter, and Sam Merrill in every single lineup I play today. So I'll probably go 80% Garland, 10% Merrill, 10% Porter.
Okay. Luka officially in matters. Did you give your thoughts as far as Golden State? Anything else? And then I guess Curry is the other thing we want to hit, right? And then we got to talk about Charlotte too.
I don't think we care about Seth Curry anyways. He is 3,400. Oh, yes, we do, I guess, because he's projected to play 29 minutes. And he projects for 21.67 fantasy points at 3,400. So all of a sudden, we just have all the value in the world. And honestly, what this says to me more than anything else is that I like Luka Doncic a lot better than I did before now.
It also says that like you don't have to play 3 and 3. You don't have to play 6 guys in that Memphis Portland game. You can, but I think now I might kind of like subdue that a little bit. But yeah, Luka is really, really easy to get. Tatum is really easy to get. 2 studs, like those two, run them at each other and just shuffling all the cheapies feels like something that I'm going to try. When has Seth Curry chalk ever failed us before? Oh, wait, every time, right? I think every time. Has it ever once got there on record? I don't know. It's a revenge game.
I don't think so either.
You mentioned Grant Williams. I think we're giving him 29 minutes as well off the bench. Curry, 29 minutes. He's really relying on that 3 ball. The matchup's fine. We're giving 22 minutes to Mitchich and 30 for Mann. So 4 overlapping minutes. Okay. I think Mann is pretty interesting if he plays 30 minutes versus Philadelphia and their terrible defense. But yeah, there's a ton of cheapies. There's a lot of like just kind of like just run through different cheap guys and get 2 studs in every lineup and just have a good time with that. Seeing some questions. Craig wants to know Merrill versus Curry on DK. You have a preference amongst those two?
It's tough because like I don't think there's a quote unquote better option of those guys. Like he asked, like Seth Curry is the safer option to play way more minutes. He'll be also much chalkier. I think Merrill's the sneaky guy with the higher upside, but also has a floor of like 8 minutes today.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Memphis?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's dive into Memphis.
Okay.
Tons of guys
Memphis.
Yeah, you start. It's not my job. You start.
Yeah, I'll set the table for you. DeAndre Ayton not officially out, but he's doubtful. We know Scoot's out. We know Brogdon's out. Sharp is out. Moses Brown's got a wrist. He's questionable. I don't know if it matters or not, but he may not even play. All the regular Memphis guys are out, and then Triple J is out, and Derrick Rose is out, and John Carter is doubtful, and Luke Kennard is doubtful, and even G.G. Jackson is questionable. He's the sneaky one because he really could be a high usage guy, but like I don't know, he might not play, and he also might not start, and like that's okay. I don't think we're projecting him to start. But
we're
like,
not projecting
there is some value
either. We're projecting him as in right now. We're not projecting him as questionable either. We're projecting him as just in. Did
I miss an update? I thought he was questionable all throughout the day.
I don't know. He doesn't have a Q tag in lineup HQ.
Okay. And there's also some value, I guess, in knowing like Merrill and Curry are just the Memphis stuff and Portland stuff it's the most likely thing to get goofy post lock, I think. Right. And again, both these teams are in the tankathon. Memphis really has to do some work. They've lost 3 in a row, but Portland's done a spectacular job. They've lost 9 in a row. They got 5 games on Memphis. They're in the 5th spot. So they're basically battling with Charlotte for the 4th spot. Memphis really has to lose out. They're kind of are what they are. Again, these teams aren't really fully trying as far as playing players or not, which has me a little bit concerned as far as Portland because, Jeremy Grant and Salmons look pretty good. Just 10 guys on Memphis, assuming G.G. Jackson plays. And again, maybe I missed an update that he's good to go, but I thought he's been questionable all day long. But yeah, how do you want to tackle Portland, Memphis? I think we don't have to be as aggressive in this game as we were a couple hours ago. That's sort of my assessment. I will throw it to you, though, when it comes to Portland and Memphis. 207 is a total. That is paltry. It is not high, but it is tight because both these teams are pretty inept as far as putting the ball in the bucket. 1 point favorite, Memphis, which is this is going to be the last game they're favored this season. Bold proclamation, just barely by a point. What do you got, Portland and Memphis?
I'll probably just set a rule. Like, I don't think there's really a way to differentiate these guys, Like, they just throw them into a bucket, pull out 3 names, and they could be the top 3 point per dollar plays on Memphis today. We're projecting it to be good when then Vince Williams and Aldama, but like, again, it could be any of them. I think I'm going to set a rule that I will play maximum 3 Memphis players today, and then I will set a rule to play maximum 2 of Aldama, Jameson, Lamar Stevens, Jake LaRivia. I don't know if I even need Jake LaRivia now that we have all this value, though. And then Gigi Jackson. Like, I'll just say max 2 of all of their power forward / centers, 3 on the whole team. And then I'll make sure Vince Williams and Jordan Goodwin are my 2 highest on.
First optimal I just ran, by the way, has 3 Cavs, 2 Grizz. Let's see. I'm sorry, it has 4 Cavs in it. So the Cavs are dominating now. That's the first one. The next one's got 4 Cavs. It's got 2 Grizz and a Blazer. And, Jason Tatum is in both of them. Is it not forcing Luka? I guess it's not really forcing. You're going to get some Luka, but it's not coming in as far as the number 1. But Vince Williams is my favorite player in this game. I wish he was going to be a little bit less owned, but maybe he gets pushed down a little bit with all the news coming in, but he's still going to be pretty popular. Goodwin, still looks spectacular. But Williams is a guy that can get you like a sneaky triple-double. Does a little bit of everything. I think he's actually like the one bright spot for Memphis this season. They actually found kind of a diamond in the rough type player. I think he's somebody that might stick around and be useful in the rotation going forward when they're all healthy as like the 10th guy or something. But yeah, I do like Vince Williams. The fringe stuff. Who's your favorite fringe play in this game? Duop Reith, maybe? I don't know how many minutes he's going to play. Probably going to chop him with Walker as far as those center minutes.
I guess, what do you mean by fringe?
Like, I guess fringe is relative in Portland, Memphis. I'm not talking about Jeremy Grant. I'm not talking about Simons. I'm not talking about Williams. I'm talking about Gigi Jackson, Zaire Williams, Reith, Lamar Stevens, Jameson, those kind of guys.
Gigi Jackson probably would be my favorite of the group just in terms of upside. And then, like, obviously Goodwin is the guy that you're plugging into cash games and stuff. Yeah,
we're giving him 32 minutes. A lot of this game, though, is like a lot of players playing between 23 and 28 minutes, So it's not like, again, the rosters are the point where a bunch of guys have to play 32, 33 minutes. It's not the case here. It's just they're all going to play in mid-20s. Well, we're giving Grant 37, Simons 36, which if you told me that's how many minutes they play, I would be interested. I think there's a little bit of downside to that. Jeremy Grant's one of those guys, just he's got highly volatile games. The absence of Ayton, the presumed absence, he's not officially out, but he's doubtful, so almost definitely not going to play. What's your take as far as Simons versus Grant in a vacuum, the premier player for Portland? Who do you have a lean on amongst those two?
Probably Grant, just because there are so many great guards on the slate today.
All right. Crunch Time should be knocking on the door momentarily. Hey, aren't you glad that you weren't on Crunch Time today? You're probably going to be in scramble mode of trying to figure out. They've probably been trying to figure out their lineups the last 15 minutes or so with all the news coming in. We are still waiting on the big one, I guess, is Sacramento and Minnesota. Edwards is questionable. Fox is questionable, but I think everything else is basically cleared up. No starting lineups for Memphis, Portland. We can kind of sort of gauge those. But that's the big news, right? Is there anything I'm missing besides that?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I think we're ready to rock. We did a great job. We filled time. We hit everything we need to hit. I'm proud of us.
TJ, do you think I ever have an issue? It's subjective. It's like if it's good feeling, but I never have an issue.
That's the thing is, right? Is like I didn't roll my eyes at you once today, Dean. We were just having fun. We were having good chats. The chat was having a fun time. There was no nonsense. It was just good quality entertainment to fill the time.
Yeah. We talked a little bit of Dune. We talked a little bit of Sonic, a little bit of Mario. We're kind of all over the place. Flying Armbar wants to know Grant versus Beef Stew. I think you take Grant amongst those two. At least projections-wise, Grant's the better play.
Definitely. We got another one. Yeezy's asking Reith or Trey Jameson on DraftKings. I think for a point per dollar, that is Trey Jameson. Maybe raw points Reith, but point per dollar, definitely Jameson for me. And since you never actually look at the StreamYard screen, I know you're not seeing the private chat right now. So that means Crunch Time crew. Let's come on in.
That's a beautiful little segue there. I was talking through it, and I'm like, oh, wait, I shouldn't have talked through it. And then it says, hey, your mic is muted. So nobody heard me talking through it, just myself, hearing myself talk to myself. Roth, what's up? Happy Friday. It's a FanDuel sponsor Crunch Time. It's a DraftKings slate that has no late swap. I'm not sure if you've heard, Roth, but
yeah,
probably seen people. It's all the
big kerfluffle. Everybody argue in one way or another.
It's a strong word. We don't use that word enough. I got to
big kerfluffle.
Yeah. How are things in the Roth world?
They're good. I got the bubble guts right now, or as you would say, I had the fish. So I could have a Paul Pierce moment at any time in the next 40 minutes.
I want to talk about that, but I feel like we have to talk about Taylor's coat. What is going on here, Taylor? Do we have plans this Friday evening? We have to discuss this.
No, actually, I got that in the mail today. I figured I would debut right here on Crunch Time.
It's
a nice cardigan here.
You got it in the mail from who? Like, what's happening here as far as that coat?
Well, I was doing some online shopping the other day, as people are wont to do. Saw it. It was on sale. Figured I would splurge a little bit. So here we are. Got the windows open, a little nippy inside. Figured I'd wear it.
Do you want to give a plug to where you got it at, or you want to be like the only one at the party wearing it? So you only want to tell people where you found it.
I'm not being paid for this, but it is Faraday brand. Faraday brand. That's the name.
Will, are you happy that you late swap with TJ? Any regrets?
No regrets. I
not even one.
Happy. No, listen. I got my 150 lineups in right before the game. I didn't want to have to be editing them during crunch time because it slows down your process and answering questions and talking with people. So that Cleveland news scrambled me for a bit, but I got everything in. I feel comfortable with the build, and 150 lineups. Here we come. Hopefully, end of the night, somebody will be tweeting on my behalf that I've won 100K because I may not actually see it. But hopefully, I wake up in the morning to that 100K, and then I'll contribute via the X. Sorry, I know I said Twitter, but Elon Musk has purchased Twitter and X, Twitter, TweetDeck, whatever. So yeah, I'm excited. Listen, this is the first day I've run 150 in like a full 150. Like sometimes I run a full 150 in months. No late swap is freaking awesome. Take it away, Roth.
Oh, okay. I was just Googling. Taylor's sweater. He must be doing pretty good in the DFS streets because
is it pricey?
Oh, buddy.
Well, when you don't have kids, you can afford to buy everything.
That's true.
You see how he slid out of that, Roth? He's like, no, you're not going to tell the people I've got money. I don't have kids.
That was well done. Well done, sir.
Are you thinking of purchasing? Were you considering it, Roth? Are you on the fence? And now it's a no? It's a no-fly zone?
Yeah. For $80 I'd be in, but it's about 5x that. I don't know if I could pull it off. Like Taylor's got a vibe. He's got a vibe that I don't have a vibe. So it works for Taylor.
It definitely works. Myself and TJ are going to step aside and get out of here. Before we do so, TJ, give the people your Feel It in the Plums play. Is that the dodgeball intro?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
The Average Joes. There you go. They're making a sequel, by the way. It's coming soon. Get excited. Hey, TJ, give it the old Feel It in the Plums play of the night.
Feeling the Plums play of the night today is Scotty Barnes.
All right, that was TJ. I was Dean. The FanDuel sponsor, Crunch Time. It starts now. You got Taylor, you got Will, you got Average Joe, and you got Roth. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It is indeed crunch time. And it is the show where we bring on two of the sharpest minds in the biz. One of them happens to be also the sharpest dressed man in the biz today. Usually Chief can bring some fits, especially on a Friday, but it's not date night tonight, is it, Chief?
No, because we're going on a slight staycation. We're going to go about 2 hours away. So because we're going to be on vacation Sunday through part of Wednesday, we'll be back Wednesday. We're like, no date night. We're just relaxing, making sure all the clothes are washed, house taken care of, and then that way when we leave Sunday,
it's a party.
Nothing. Yeah, there you go.
I love it. Okay, well, welcome. Happy that you are here hanging with us here. Of course, you're going to be giving us some tournament takes as we roll through the slate. And then we got Taylor, the aforementioned sharply dressed man as well. Taylor, what's up, man? How you feeling, and how you feeling about the slate?
Feeling good. It'll be an interesting slate, of course. DK, no late swap tonight. FanDuel, you can late swap. So a little different on both sites as far as the approach, but should be a good one.
I guess let's start there. Is this a slate? We never really know what's going to happen, but sometimes we have a good idea of like, hey, we need this news before we can even figure out what the hell we're going to do. Is it one of those slates, or is it kind of quieter expected as we go through the evening?
There are a few Q tags. We're still waiting on, like De'Aaron Fox, Anthony Edwards. They start an hour after lock. Fox missed the game the other night. Didn't really expect that. Anthony Edwards hasn't missed a game since December, so it would be a little surprising if he sat. But yeah, that's the only thing we're waiting on. We got Luka in, a couple other guys sitting out, Cleveland guys, Brandon Miller. So I think you're pretty safe to build. Obviously, playing someone like De'Aaron Fox comes with more risk tonight on DK, but he was probably not going to be very owned anyway.
Right. I suppose we'll get there when we get there on DK, but I'm just curious how this goes in tournaments with those Q guys. Like, are you stacking up? Are you loading up on some of their replacements, knowing that they could be terrible plays, but also could be slate breaking plays, and you don't know? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like I said, I feel like Edwards is more likely to play than not. So perhaps he comes in more contrarian than he otherwise might have. Karl Anthony Towns is a good play either way, but if Anthony Edwards is out, he would look a lot better. So that's the kind of strategy you can experiment with tonight.
Okay, well, looking forward to kind of walking through that. But in the meantime, this show is presented by FanDuel. So we like to start with a FanDuel build. Taylor, why don't you run me through what's happened and how you're starting to build over on FanDuel?
Yeah, so Memphis is kind of the big one tonight. They are without Jaren Jackson. I think Luke Kennard is doubtful. They just have a host of guys out, as they seemingly have all season. They're going to be a big source of value tonight. Donovan Mitchell is out, as is Karis LeVert for the Cavs. That's obviously quite relevant news as well. That game starts right at the top of the hour. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of Memphis, a lot of Portland, a lot of Cleveland, it looks like tonight. We also got Pajemski out for Golden State. So he and Wiggins both being out opens up some value on the wing in theory for them. Okay. Let's see.
You want to go through a build for us then?
Yeah, so I built 200 lineups here on FanDuel with the most recent projections. There are 2 point guards in the lineups. 2 point guard only plays that looks like you're just playing them both in cash and moving
Stop
right
it. Wow. Okay.
One is Jordan Goodwin. Expected to start again at point guard for Memphis. He's 5'3". They are very shorthanded in the backcourt, of course. Conchar, I believe he's also out. So pretty thin on guards. Minute should be there for him.
Just got confirmation. GG Jackson will play, so that's somewhat important.
There you go.
Important enough, so he is in. Sorry about that, Taylor. Please continue.
No problem at all. Good to know. Yeah, so Goodwin's one of them. The other's Darius Garland. He's 7K flat. Cleveland gets a good matchup against the Pistons. Like I said, no Mitchell and no LeVert. Minutes and usage will be there for him. That's what you're doing at point guard on FanDuel. No questions asked for cash. As far as shooting guard goes, I mentioned a couple of injuries to Brandon Miller and Brandon Pajemski. Klay Thompson and Seth Curry are starting for their respective teams as a result. Both are pretty cheap. Klay Thompson, 5'4" on FanDuel, looks pretty good. Minutes should be safe with Wiggins also out. Pretty good matchup for them, too, against Toronto on the road. Raptors defense has been really bad since they made their trades. Seth Curry, not the most comfortable value, but he is starting for Brandon Miller. Shooting guard only play, should be quite cheap. Maybe, I don't know what we had for his minutes. Let's do a quick check here. Sorry for the delay.
All right.
28 minutes of Seth Curry. So that's enough for him to grade out pretty well as a value. Definitely playable in cash. A few more options you can consider. Max Strus should get more usage for the Cavs with no Mitchell and LeVert. Minutes also should be pretty safe. 5,900, reasonable value on that. Vince Williams is going to look really good for the Grizzlies. 6,800. He's going to kind of be one of their playmakers. He's like their only regular left standing, essentially. They're also playing Portland, so it's a good matchup for the Grizz. That game has a really low total because it's two really bad offenses, but tight spread. I think it's the tightest spread on the slate. So Memphis guys are going to look good just because they have a pretty thin roster. Isaac Okoro, another one to consider. Shooting guard, small forward, another value. Anthony Simons, I think, is more of a play on DK than he is on FanDuel, especially because he's only shooting guard on FanDuel. Let's see. Small forward, I mentioned Vince Williams and Strus. You can spend a little money on Scotty Barnes or Jason Tatum. Good spot in particular for the Celtics against the visiting Mavs. Dallas has not been a good defense. They play at a very quick pace. So good spot for Tatum. Jeremy Grant, another Blazer to consider. He and Simons are essentially going to split the usage. Memphis is pretty good defensively, but with Jaren Jackson out, they likely won't be quite as stingy tonight as usual. Zaire Williams, kind of a minute-spaced play. Should start for the Grizz. But low usage, not a good per minute guy either. So not a must, but he is viable.
Mm-hmm.
Power forward, Jared Allen. It's kind of a cheat. You can play him at power forward on FanDuel, which makes him quite useful. He and Mobley are both going to be grading out really well. Mobley's going to get more usage with no Mitchell. Allen's the one popping into more lineups, though. He's 300 less than Mobley on FanDuel. Both are very much in play. Santi Aldama, another Grizzly, going to have to play minutes by default. Kelly Oubre just got ruled out. So that might make Tobias Harris and Buddy Hield look a little better. Not sure if they're cash necessities necessarily, but we'll see how projections update and kind of circle back to that. Let's see. I guess we can shift over to center. Mention Allen. Mentioned Mobley, Aldama, Duop Reith likely to start with DeAndre Ayton for the Blazers. And Trey Jameson is popping into a lot of lineups. Either he or G.G. Jackson are going to start. They might just split the minutes essentially at center for the Grizz. So both cheap, both fine. I feel a lot better about Jameson if he starts. Luckily on FanDuel, you can swap if he doesn't. So I'm fine playing him. He's only 3.9 on FanDuel.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is that all we got?
That'll do it for now.
Okay. Very good. Well, let's kick it to Chief then. Get some GPP plays. And why don't you give me a quick overview? Like, what is your general plan of attack? And then if you could, go position by position for me.
Roth, you're a genius. I don't know how you read my mind, but that's kind of what I was going to do anyway, especially since oh man, this is fantastic. So general overview, I'm actually staying committed to my Portland exposure. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the Cleveland spot is going to feel better than Portland. And I've checked the ownership as things have progressed. And now we've kind of had this flop where Simons and Grant were kind of going to have, more ownership, but now they've got less ownership because you can play Garland, because you can play Strus. And so Cleveland has picked up ownership here late. My general plan of attack is I'm going to stay with my original Portland exposure, and I did that prior to the update. So I'm going to be double the field on Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant. And so that's something about the Cleveland side or Cleveland creeping in the lineups that I really like, because I think Simons and Jeremy Grant are two of the best tournament plays out there tonight, just based on the spot. I know the total's low, but Memphis isn't a good team. Neither is Portland. I think, Ayton being out is a bigger deal than just on paper. So I like Grant and Simons to really lead the charge for Portland. So I've got massive exposure to those guys. I am playing Jordan Goodwin 100% tonight. Pray for me. This is either going to go really well or really bad. I think it's going to go really well, though. I've got the lock button on him. That's just kind of just in terms of where I'm at exposures-wise. I did keep most of my Memphis exposures relatively close. So, like, we've seen ownership drop on guys like Zaire Williams, G.G. Jackson, because there wasn't as much value per se, but now we've got way more value. So I'm keeping my ownership there. And so that's just kind of my general overview and how I want to attack the slate. So,
okay. Well, one thing that may change your general overview is that we've just learned that Mr. Mo Bamba is starting, and the chat lit up. Are you interested in a starting Mo Bamba, sir?
I am, but I'm not going to make any changes. I can't afford to make changes right now. That'd be clicking all kinds of buttons because he could start and still play 15 minutes. So maybe I'll check the prop streets or DraftKings pick 6 and see if they have anything random that I can attack while I'm just sitting here on the show. Mm-hmm. If I wasn't on the show, I'd probably make more tweaks. But I feel really good about my build. And I think that's an important point, Ross, since we're talking about this. Sometimes the late breaking news pulls you away from something and you shouldn't have done it. And if you just would have left that original build, you would have been, Scrooge McDuck or Donald Duck swimming in the coins and spitting them out. That GIF. Q producer Steve. So I'm not going to overreact to Bamba. Do I think it's good? Yes. But he could very well play 15 minutes and now everybody's loaded up on him and nobody cares, right? He just messed up your bill. So I'm just going to leave him out. I think I'll be fine. Totally enough value elsewhere. I do think with Mitchell and the other guy. I can't remember his name right now. Jeez, that's terrible. Mitchell, the other guy from Cleveland. Yeah, LeVert. Thanks, man. I got so many names in my head from looking at the screen all day. Mitchell and LeVert out. I think this Cavaliers-Pistons game is going to be way more impactful. So I did beef up my Cade Cunningham exposure as a result of the news. I already like Cade anyway, but I think Cade's going to be a big-time play tonight. And I beefed up my Jalen Duren exposure as well. So that's just from that game. I do have some Seth Curry. I don't think I'm going to be as high as the field, but I do like him. I did have some Nick Richards on FanDuel as well. I think Nick Richards could eat here. In terms of Luka and Kyrie, I don't have as much Luka as I want, and I'm very uncomfortable with that, but I'm going to live with it. I think it's easy to get to Luka now. If you can get to Luka, I think you should be playing him, Roth. The guy's just 60, 70, 80 fantasy points. Like what? Yeah. I don't have to sell you on Luka. You just plug him in. I do think Tatum's good today as well. I know I'm kind of going game by game, but it's just going to be easier because of all these players. Golden State, I do have a fair amount of Jonathan Kuminga. I'm well over the field on Jonathan Kuminga and Klay Thompson. And they have fairly nice ownership on FanDuel, but I definitely think that these guys could get going. I also have a fair amount of Steph Curry, where the field is, around 15% at least at my last refresh. It might be different now, but I have some of him playing some Quickly, playing some Barrett, playing tons of Jakob Poeltl and Scotty Barnes. In terms of the Pelicans, McCollum, Ingram, Zion, I have them all in the group, and I'm only playing one per lineup if they hit a lineup. So I'm not really thrilled about them because I feel like they eat into each other a little bit, and they're all priced appropriately. I really don't have many or any Pacers, I don't think, and I can check my bill. So I'm not worried about that. I am pretty much fading the Kings, and that's not because of the Fox news. It's mainly because I think Minnesota is a really tough defensive team, and I think they can hold these guys back. So I'm fading the Kings, but I do have Anthony Edwards, and I do have Rudy Gobert. I don't have any Karl Anthony Towns tonight. I'm going to live with that, but I like Gobert, and I like Edwards. I'm pretty much stacked up in this Grizzlies game, but I do have a rule 0-3 Grizzlies. I'm not playing more than 3 in any lineup. That's my rule there tonight. I did mention Jordan Goodwin. I've got him 100%, and I'm playing all of the other cheap guys. I probably have an uncomfortable amount of Lamar Stevens compared to the field for what it's worth. But I have a fair amount of him. I've already talked about Portland. There you have it, Roth. That's, if you've listened to what I've said, you kind of know what my build is shaping up like outside of maybe my actual exposures, and I don't mind giving that after lock. If they
that sounds great. I love it. Before we get to DK, I want to circle back to Taylor and Mo Bamba and kind of gauge your interest and see how cash viable that play is.
Yeah, it's cash viable. There's a lot of uncertainty. He's still there. He's just been benched. We gave Mo Bamba 20 minutes, so not like he's popping. Trey Jameson is still the better point per dollar value in the projections. I think you can take a shot on Bamba, but I think it's more viable on DK where it's only 3-3 and you can play 2 centers. So, it's okay on FanDuel, but I'm not sure you need it.
Okay, excellent. I suppose then we'll kick it to DK, and noting again that we cannot late swap on DK, so maybe things change a little bit. What is your build and how are you approaching it on DK, Taylor?
It's going to be quite similar just because those 3 teams, Memphis, Cleveland, and Portland, are really grading out well in projections. We are getting more Philly now. We also got Kyle Lowry starting with Oubre out. I don't know if that moves the needle much. He is extremely old, but they are playing the Hornets, so it's a pretty good matchup. 4-3. We gave him 29 minutes, so he does grade out pretty well as a point per dollar value. The only issue is I assume he's point guard only, and point guard is stacked tonight. So you're probably not going to want to play Kyle Lowry in cash. Certainly in tournaments, it's viable. But point guard on DK looks like point guard on FanDuel because Goodwin and Garland are just amazing plays. They're popping into almost every lineup that I ran. Once again, over here, Anthony Simons, I mentioned being better on DK than on FanDuel. He's 7-5. Good matchup against Memphis without Jackson Jr. Tyrese Maxey looks pretty good. For 8,700, another sixer. He's a little cheap. Charlotte hasn't been as bad defensively since they made a couple of trades, but I don't imagine they're suddenly a good defense. So I'm still happy to get to Maxey with the usage he gets with Joel Embiid out. Luka is 12K against Boston on the road. It's about as brutal of a spot as you can get, but we've seen Luka be pretty matchup proof over the years. Don't think you need it in cash, but it's not like you're ever going to feel bad about getting to Luka. There's enough value to make it happen. I think that'll do it as far as point guards go. Aaron Nesmith will play, by the way. So it's not a huge needle mover either. Like Ben Mathurin looks worse now, but he wasn't really a priority to begin with. Shooting guard, small forward, there are quite a few of these too. Vince Williams standing out again over here. Max Strus, same thing. He's only 5-1 on DK, so even cheaper than he is on FanDuel. Going to see a boatload of minutes. DeAndre Ayton officially out, so that's as expected. Let's see, Zaire Williams, another shooting guard, small forward you can consider for cash. I mentioned Seth Curry on FanDuel. Looks good on DK too. That probably does it as far as shooting guard, small forward. We kind of covered all these guys on FanDuel. Jeremy Grant, Jason Tatum, both forward position eligible. Grant looks a little better as the cheaper of the two, but like I said, I do think it's a good spot for Tatum. Tobias is popping into a few more lineups now that Oubre is out, but he's been in really poor form lately and don't really think you need that for cash. Evan Mobley and Santi Aldama, power forwards you can consider on DK. Mobley is the power forward popping into the most lineups as of now. Isaac Okoro, another cheapie to consider for 3.9, starting with Donovan Mitchell out. Don't mind Gigi Jackson now that we know he's playing. He's affordable. He's been a pretty good per minute guy too for Memphis. Without their usual bigs in the lineup, he should have a decent role. I mentioned Karl Anthony Towns, but might be kind of fringy for cash with Edwards on the fence. Moving to center, Mo Bamba, 3-3, looks pretty good. Jared Allen, just like on FanDuel, looks good on DK for 7-3, center only. I think Jameson and Bamba are the same price. Jameson is popping a little bit more in projections than Bamba, but like I said, there's a lot of uncertainty there. Bamba could be playing 20 minutes. He could play 30 minutes. kind of just depends on how he fares, I guess. So I do think you can pull the trigger on that in cash. If Jameson comes off the bench, for example, he's going to look quite risky as well. So since we know Bamba's starting, I'd be a little more inclined to trust him. Nick Nurse did kind of talk smack about Paul Reed after the last game, so Bamba might actually get a real shot here. So I'm fine with it for cash just because he's super cheap and pretty good per minute when he's out there.
All right, Taylor, who's your favorite spend up? You mentioned not a great matchup for Luka, but then as I look at the other spend ups, like nothing there is really getting me all that hype.
I guess it's Tatum by default, just because he's cheaper and the matchup's really good for Boston. I think they have the highest total on the slate. But the cash build is pretty balanced. Like Garland, Jeremy Grant, Tyrese Maxey for 8-7, pretty good spend too. So it will be Tatum if you're talking about a true high-end spend.
Okay. Taylor, Chief, I want to kick it to you and ask the same question. Who is your favorite spend up? Who do you have the most of? And am I just doing the absolute right thing, jamming in value and doing Luka Tatum run back? Is that just the chalk, or am I a genius?
My highest spend up in terms of ownership is actually Scotty Barnes tonight. My highest owned outside of 100% Goodwin, I've got Anthony Simons at 45%.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't you walk me through a DK build? If you could, position by position would be great.
Yeah. So I'm going back to my player pool, Roth. I had those my exposures pulled up so I could answer your question. But in terms of point guard for me, once again, I've got tons of Goodwin, tons of Garland, tons of Simons. I think you heard me say Simons. Those are going to be my three favorites. I do have Tyrese Maxey. I do have Quickly, Cade Cunningham, Steph Curry, Chris Paul, CJ McCollum. Those are all guys that, I think have some outside shots tonight. And I'm fairly over the field on most, but I say fairly slightly over the field on most of those alternate guys outside of Simons, Garland, and Goodwin, where I've got just tons. If I had to choose one guy that I think is a sneaky tournament play, it's absolutely Cade Cunningham. I think I talked about him already, but 7,900 on DraftKings, facing a Cleveland team that won't have all the bodies now. Detroit playing a little bit better. Detroit also at home. I think Cade Cunningham could get off here, Roth, and come out of nowhere, and I don't think he's going to get barely any ownership tonight. So Cade Cunningham, 7,900, that would be my favorite sneaky tournament play, if you will. Moving along the shooting guard, I've got tons of Vince Williams, tons of Max Strus, got some Seth Curry. I'm going to stay committed to Zaire Williams, Klay Thompson, Anthony Edwards, those guys. I've got those guys included in the build. I think Anthony Edwards is really sneaky. If you haven't been paying attention, I mean, the guy's just scoring 30-plus points, real points a game, feels like every night, and he gets a pretty soft matchup against Sacramento, and I'm with Taylor. I mean, he just keeps going back to whatever the fountain of youth, even though he's very young. He gets hurt, he breaks his leg in the game, they give him a shot, he comes back, scores 40 points. He comes back the next night, they say he's hurt, he comes out, he scores 35 points. He's a machine. So I've got some Anthony Edwards. I've also got Jaylen Brown tonight. I like the price at 7,600. Should be a tough matchup or competitive matchup with Dallas. And now the prices come down some. I do have a fair amount of him compared to the field. Also really like RJ Barrett at 7K. I guess if I had to go with my sneaky play at shooting guard, it's probably Anthony Edwards. At small forward, I've got tons of Jeremy Grant. I think he's my third highest owned player in my build. I think he's somewhere around 40% raw. I think slightly over 40%, 41, 42, 43. He's somewhere up in there. Once again, I like I said, I'm going to stay committed. So, and he's picking up ownership, but I really like him tonight at 7,100. Do have some Jason Tatum, obviously. In terms of my big spin, once again, Scotty Barnes at 9,300 is my highest owned expensive guy, if you will. So like Luka's 12K, but I don't have as much as I do Scotty Barnes. So I've got Scotty Barnes. He would probably be my sneaky tournament play at small forward. I do have some Tobias Harris. I know it's been rough. We'll see if Charlotte can play on the road here, but I think Tobias Harris at 6,700 is good. Talk about Brandon Ingram and his crew with the Pelicans. I don't have as much of them, but I did think because they were playing Indiana, they're going to get overlooked tonight. Indiana's been a gold mine for most slates, and so I just didn't feel comfortable leaving McCollum, Ingram, and Zion out. So I just put all three of them in a group, said 0-1, and one of them, if I'm playing one of them, I'm only getting one. I'm not getting 2 or 3 per build. So I wanted to say that. I guess if I had a sneaky build at small forward, probably be Scotty Barnes compared to the field. At power forward, I've got tons of Santi Aldama, got Tatum. I've got a lot of, well, I won't say a lot, but a little bit more in the field than Evan Mobley. I've got Zion. I do have some Porzingis. I've got tons of Kuminga. I'm well over the field on Jonathan Kuminga tonight. So I'll cut it off there at power forward. If you ask me who my sneaky play was at power forward, it's Jonathan Kuminga. And then at center, I've got probably more centers than I would usually play tonight, but I do have Jameson, Jared Allen, Reith. I've got tons of Jakob Poeltl tonight. Tons. Jakob Poeltl, fair amount of Nick Richards. I've got Lamar Stevens. I think I'm playing him a little bit more at center than power forward for whatever reason, but I've got Nick Richards. I've got Jalen Duren and Rudy Gobert. If you ask me who my sneaky play was at center, it's probably Poeltl or Duren. Those would be my sneaky plays for tournaments at center. Hopefully that wraps it up for everybody.
That was excellent. Yeah, and great timing. We've got about 10 minutes left for QQs. Taylor, is there anything you want to add before we dive into everybody's questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to note that they came up to 23 minutes projected for Bamba, so he does look better. And yeah, like I said, he's still certainly cash viable.
Okay, very good. We're going to start off with a very important question because it's mine, and I want to win tonight, Taylor. I've got a great build, and I freaking love it, but I've got one spot that I'm struggling with. It's in the util on DK, and I've got 5,800. Who do we like? 5,800 in the util.
Yeah, that's kind of a tough spot.
Right?
You have Strus already. He's 51. I know that's quite a gap.
Yeah.
Taylor, hey, tell them to play Strus, leave the 800 or 900 on the table. That's how you win tournaments anyway. Even in NBA, you can win with 1,000 left on the table. I'm telling you, I've done it before. You can.
Strus projects as the best play there by quite a bit. So
wow. Okay. Here we go.
You said 58 or 57?
58.
Well, Klay Thompson, I take it back, is also a pretty good play in that range. I don't know if you had him either.
Okay. I'm going to do Strus. I like the Strus call. I'll do that. Okay. Thank you. We'll take some other people's questions as well because, hey, that's what they're here for. Let's see. Dean never gave us his Feel It in the Plums play of the day. Are we able to rectify this by each giving our own Feel It in Your Plums play of the day? I think so. Chief, you gave us a lot of sneaky plays there at each position. If you had one guy that is kind of your Feel It in the Plums, maybe you're most overweight on compared to the field, who's your guy?
Ooh, I probably have more than usual. Let me check, Roth. I'm pretty sure it's Anthony Simons. Yes, it is Anthony Simons. I am now more than double the field.
Okay. They're feeling it in his plums. Taylor, you got a guy who you're feeling it in your plums?
The guy that I'm pretty heavily over on is Tyrese Maxey for 87 on DK. I think he's a little too cheap.
Nice. Okay. I'm just doing a super chalky build, so my answers aren't good, and I'm just going to omit myself from this category here. Let's see what we got. A little bit. Here we go. DK GPP from D-Rock. Chief, you want Cat or Ingram?
Ingram.
Freya says DK Cash. Is Pirtle okay as a last piece? Chiefs playing him in tournaments. Taylor, you okay there in cash?
Yeah, I think he's fine.
Great. FanDuel single entry. Chief, Tatum or Edwards?
Edwards.
FanDuel single entry question. And Taylor, I'll give this to you. Clay versus Aldama.
I think I will lean Aldama there.
All right. Interesting question from Jay Sams. This is FanDuel single entry GPP. Chief, our boy Duop Reith is lesser owned compared to Bamba and Jameson, but projects for more points. Do you feel that he's a good pivot off of those guys, especially with the potential that Jameson might not even start?
Sure. I like it.
Yeah, you had some sound reasoning there. FanDuel GPP, Chief, right back to you here. It is 2v2, Clay and Jay Walker or Moody and Aldama.
Man, I think Clay's better than both of those. I don't like Walker though, so give me Moody and Alderman.
Okay, great. We'll go to Lil B, DKGPP. Taylor, I'll give you this one just to kind of keep you in the mix. Util spot, last one left. 8-2. Guys like Cat, Zion, Siakam, Jaylen Brown, all would fit.
This was DK.
DK 8-2 left in the util.
I think Towns is the one that stands out the most, but I have some interest in Cade Cunningham as a low-owned play too.
Wow. Okay. Very nice. What do we got here? Simons or Mobley, Taylor, in DK Cash?
That is a really tough one. I would lean Mobley on that one.
All right. We got another cash question here from Darren in the YouTube. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, hit us with the thumbs up. We just want the eyeballs. That's all. We don't want your money. We do also want your money, but your eyeballs are a good start. Like, subscribe, and then we'll get you paying in a little bit once you see how great the content is. FanDuel Cash, Taylor, Aldama, Tatum, or Allen and Simons?
I think the second one sounds slightly better.
Okay, very good. Let's see.
Buddy Hield is not revenge either. He never played for the Charlotte Hornets, so I don't know what Dean is talking about. But sorry.
Okay,
Dean fixed that.
All right, I'm not there yet. I'm not that far. I'm still catching up. DKGPP will bring Chief back in the mix. Grant Williams and Steph Curry or Bamba Sabonis?
Grant Williams. Oh, and Steph.
Yeah, and Steph.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I was like, Steph.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, Grant Williams and Steph Curry. I'd go with that.
Okay, great. Thoughts on Buddy Hield tonight? You got any interest, Chief?
I did. I really liked him, but I had too many players. I had to get rid of somebody, so he was cut. But if you're playing him, I'm fine with it.
Okay, question from Hoosier Tang Banners, just raw points, Buddy or Clay?
I'm actually going to go with Clay.
All right. Darren says FanDuel Cash, bringing it back here. Taylor, you want Allen Simons or Tatum Aldama?
Allen Simons.
Okay. What do we got? FanDuel question, Taylor. I'll come to you. Mathurin or Strus?
Strus, absolutely.
Okay. Andrew says, hey, Chief, what are your thoughts on a little Barnes Kuminga mini stack? Do you like some of that? You like a little bit of that?
Absolutely.
Very nice. Hey, I mentioned we will eventually want your money, but we don't want it quite yet because if you've ever wanted to take RotoGrinders Premium for a test run, you can do it right now with a 3-day trial pass. You get access to every single sport except NASCAR. And then, of course, you got the low price of $19.99. Never been a better time to join the RotoGrinders community. So find the 3-day trial link in the description below and sign up today, friends. It's good stuff going on there. DKGPP, I think this means Simons or Cunningham. Unless there's a dude named Simone I don't know about. Chief, you're muted, bud.
Sorry. Gosh, I have more Simons, but I also have a fair amount of Cade. I'm going to go with Simons. But if you're leaning Cade, please play him. Like I'm well over the field on Cade.
Yep. All right. Our guy Butthole Jenkins says Moses Brown is available to play. Taylor, could that hurt Duop Reef tonight?
It could, but I still think Reith, even if he gets 24, is completely fine.
Okay. Daniel says, hey, what about Duarte? Fox looked like he was limping still in pregame warmups.
Good. Can I talk about that?
Yeah, please.
Those fantasy points were in the fourth quarter. So if you go and check our game flow tracker, you can see kind of when Duarte, that game was out of hand. They were down 20 plus points, and Duarte got most of those fantasy points in the fourth. So I'm not sold he's suddenly going to just be out here nuking fantasy points. I don't like it.
Okay, great. I'll take that. DKGPP question for you, Chief. Mobley or Zinger?
Mobley.
Important question. Five Guys burgers or In-N-Out? I feel like, Chief, aren't you an In-N-Out guy?
No, we don't have In-N-Out here, so I only have Five Guys. So that's all I can.
Right.
But Way Back is my burger joint of choice. If anybody want to know, Way Back burgers.
Okay, all right. Taylor? Five Guys or In-N-Out?
Well, I think I prefer Five Guys. In-N-Out's also very good. I will give Whataburger a shout out as well because they have breakfast and it's a game changer. So.
Oh, look at you! All right, dropping some Texan knowledge on the folks. What else do we got here? We're doing good. FanDuel GPP. What's up? No, go for it.
Speaking of which, the first meal I bought my wife was from Five Guys, but we weren't even dating at the time. This was me showing interest. I went and got her some Five Guys and a cherry cream soda.
And that's how you locked it down.
For the win.
Five Guys and a cherry cream soda locked it down. That's a keeper. She's not high maintenance. She's not saying give me a fancy steak. She's some Five Guys and a cream soda.
My wife's first date with me was actually at In-N-Out, so maybe I should have said that instead.
We got some burger boys over here.
Some Romeos over here.
Craig says, hey, will Sam Merrill get enough minutes to be viable? Taylor, will Sam Merrill get enough minutes to be viable?
Yes, I believe he will.
Okay. We got less than 2 minutes until lock. I didn't realize that. What's lightning around this? Chief, FanDuel GPP, can you play Moody and Thompson?
Yes.
Lucas Struess, Chief, or Alan Tatum?
Lucas Struess.
FanDuel, Kamara or Grant Williams? Taylor, Kamara or Grant Williams?
Grant Williams for me.
DK, Lucas Struess or Alan Tatum? Taylor, Lucas Struess or Alan Tatum? Did we just do that one?
Yeah, I think we did.
All right, he doubled up on it. Less than a minute here. Here we go. FanDuel Cash 2v2. Taylor, Clay Aldama or Heald and Zaire?
Clay Aldama.
All right, we did pretty good catching up for what it's worth. Somebody says, does Fuddrucker still exist in Texas? It does, and it's freaking good. I remember
it exists in South Carolina too.
Yeah, I remember going as a kid. It was like just video games, right? Didn't they have like a bunch of games at Fuddruckers?
Like an arcade.
Yeah, but that's gone now. At least to the one I went, and it's just straight up good burgers. That was
the place you'd go for like an after season soccer party.
Yes, that was the spot for that kind of thing for sure. Yeah. What else do we have here? Hey, you know what? We've hit lock, and I think we did it pretty damn well for what it's worth. Scrolling, seeing if there's anything super important. No, we did good. I think we're going to bounce on out of here. So for Taylor, for Chief, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.